Good day, everyone. A lot of people has been asking me this question. What agency or what staffing agency am I under with? And for the last 2 years, I've been hesitating to answer this question for some personal reasons. But today on this video, I will finally give you that answer. And also, I will give a full review of my personal experience with my staffing agency versus the other agencies or other staffing agencies, which I learned from stories coming from other nurses coming from different agencies. So my agency is, I will reveal it. So stay tuned and watch it. I'm Nurse Juan Cruz, your OFW nurse. When I'm being asked about this question, normally I will try to ask them to ask me a different question, or sometimes deny it, or sometimes I even lie about it. So for today, I apologize for that. I try to keep my agency confidential as much as I can. So for once and for all, I am under the Connexus Med Staff Agency. So there you go. Okay. So sorry for those who I've lied before. Yes, I am under this particular agency. I've been with them for the last 2 years and 2 months here in the US. I've been vocal and been sharing my experience with you under this agency. And some of them are good, and sometimes I do give them some bad reviews. But being a nurse one, having these resources and having a lot of people, a lot of nurses from other staffing agency reaching for you, asking for help, and learning from their situations under different staffing agencies, it made me realize that my agency is actually not bad. It's not bad as compared to other staffing agencies. I'm actually in a better place as compared from those other nurses. Also, I've been comparing before the staffing agency versus the direct hire agencies. So for me, I realize now that it's not really compatible. It's not good for me to compare both of them, because it's like comparing apple versus oranges. Both of them are really in different fields. As most of you know, I've been very bitter when it comes to the differences between the two, and me having on the shorter end of the straw. So I was really bitter then, but I have only myself to blame for that decision. It was all me. It was my decision for choosing that. It was my bad for not doing the research. It's my fault for not checking other options before signing that contract. For choosing an apple without realizing that there are tastier oranges on the table. So today, we're gonna do an informative video. I will give you a full review of my agency for the pros and cons versus the other agencies out there. So let's start with the pros. Number 1, if you're going for staffing agency, go with a contract that offers by number of hours, not by number of years. Like for me, in my contract, we have like 5,000 hours. So 5,000 hours is equal to like 125 weeks or around 2 years and 6 months. So that's the duration of my contract. If you're just doing the regular shift for like 40 hours per week. But if you're doing overtime, you can finish as early as like 1 year or less than 2 years. You can finish. I have a colleague here who did so much overtime. She was able to finish it within 2 years period, which is really, really fast. For me, I finished my contract for 2 years and around 2 months. I arrived here in the US July 16, 2019, and I think I started working after a month, roughly around 1st or 2nd week of August. And I finished this month of September 25th, 2021. So it's really better to choose the agency that offers by number of hours as compared to those numbers of years. Because like for in the years, even though if you do overtime during those contract for the years period, it won't matter. You still have to finish that particular day. Then that's the only time you can be free from your contract. So for us, it's more advisable to do the overtime because number 1, we get times 1.5 rate on our hourly rate. Then our number of hours is also being like running. The meter for that is still running. So it really makes sense. Versus for those who are getting like a number contract for years, even though they do overtime, it won't matter. So most likely they will benefit more if they work from other companies or other hospitals to get a better pay as compared to just working on their same hospital. The staff of this staffing agency are really friendly and really, really helpful. From the start, during the processing time, the immigration process, and up to the time I arrived here in the US, they were really there for me. They really helped me. They really guided me. They gave me most of the information that I needed. I was working in Singapore, so everything, like for the processing, for the documentations, everything was done through emails and regular mails and phone calls. I never met them personally. And true enough, I really bagged so much my agent, Miss Lai from the Philippines, Like, pero Lina, I really sent her a lot of questions, like a million questions, asking for all the information that I think that I needed back then. So I really begged her so much. And I'm really thankful that she's really responsive to all the questions. She's really catering. She's really accommodating. So I really didn't have any problems when it comes to having my questions or having issues with regards to the possibility that things that will happen to me when I arrive in the US. She really guided me every step of the way. Before we arrive in the US, some of our agents have been trying to find an apartment for us. They tried to source out, get some informations where we possibly could stay. They coordinated with some of the local Filipinos here and some of the tenants that have been staying here and asked them some information that might help us to find an apartment which fits for me and my wife. Then for the vehicle, they gave us information about the international auto source. They gave us some pamphlets on it on how the process will be. And they even gave us the email for us to communicate even before we arrive here in the US. Unfortunately for me, I didn't decide to get it from them. I had a different option. Like I said in my other videos. Then when we arrive in the United States, our liaison officer or our agent, Miss Laurel, she's our mama bear, that's what we call her. She has been so accommodating. She fetched us from the airport, drove us anywhere we needed to be, brought us to different car dealerships, brought us to the bank, brought us to get some of our SIM cards, helped us find an apartment for us. So she did everything during those first week for us. So she was really physically there for us whenever we needed her. She even fed us, gave us some meals, everything shouldered by their staffing agencies during those time. Even for the medical examination, she has to drive 2 hours from Lexington going here just to bring us to the hospital in order for us to get those medical examinations finished and have our blood test drawn. So she's really doing her extra mile, and we really appreciate her for doing that part for us. And mind you, not all agency, staffing agency, or even direct agency will do these kind of things. Some will just give you directions coming from the airport. Will just send you a message or an email, tell you how to get from point A from the airport going to your hotel or your apartment. That's it. So you really have to ask your agency when you arrive here in the US, what will happen to you, how will be the setup, who will fetch you, or what things are gonna transpire during those times in regards with them, or how the arrangement will be. So you really have to ask these questions. Though it is doable, but it's definitely hard. Especially if you're a new foreigner coming here to the US and you don't know anyone, don't know how to do things here. There's no public transportation, so it's really hard. But you can do it. You just have to go the extra mile. But it's best. It's best for you to arrange this before arriving here in the US. So you really have to squeeze these informations coming from your agent or agency. So for us nurses here under the same agency, we actually felt like we were like really one big family. We really help each other. We felt connected. Whenever we have someone new coming here in our place, we do have like a welcome party for them. So we meet up and the agency will be the one to cover all the expenses, just to have a warm greeting with them. Then also, they'll give you a free continuing education, which you will need whenever you renew your license, which is every year here in the US. So you have to meet certain number of hours or certain credit points. Like here in Kentucky, I think it's 14 points. So sometimes we get it from the hospital, but if it's not enough, then we coordinate with our agency and they'll be the one to provide a web page or web link for us in order for us to process those things. Most of the communications between your agent or with other departments of your agency is done through emails or phone calls or texts. So rarely that you will see them. There's actually no physical office around here. The office for them is actually in Texas. So most likely, if we need something, we're just gonna email them, CC them with someone, and they'll be the one to fix whatever they can fix on their end. Then every Sunday, we have to send a timesheet. It's actually in the Monday morning before 8 in the morning. So we really have to send us like our login, log out, and a break time, and anything note that you have to put there. We have to send this every week for them. Then for those students who studied here in the US, this agency offers like visa or immigration transition. So that's why we have different nationalities in our group. We have a staff coming from Nigeria, from Mexico, and from Korea, and etc. So they really help transitioning. So some of them do opt from this agency because they will have a permanent resident card after their term working with this particular agency. The next, the additional COVID pay or incentives are being given to the nurses. Because mind you, I have a lot of nurses messaging me that some of them are not able to get the full benefits or the full incentives for the COVID pay because their staffing agencies are getting part of it. Even though those are not written in their contract, but they are getting that share. I think there's one lady who said she was getting like $50 per hour supposedly, but she's only getting $25 because her agency is apparently getting that additional half. So which is not a really good sign with this kind of agency. They're really, really greedy. So good thing for us, they give it. They give it to us whatever we deserve because that's for us. It's not for the agency anymore and it's not under their contract. So they give whatever it's meant for us. And we're the one doing the sacrifices and we're the one doing the job. So we definitely should get that full percentage and not half or not whatever percentage of that. We have to get it full. And I'm calling out those staffing agencies who are too greedy in taking advantages of our nurses. Please give them what they deserve. In my experience for the incentive COVID pays, normally they have a different forms. Throughout this like 1 year and a half, they have different incentives being given throughout the period of time. Initially, they gave like $10 per hour. Then they switched like additional $100 per overtime or per day. Then they switched to like the latest now. They're giving like $25 additional per hour for those nurses working under the COVID floor or working with COVID patients. So it's really nice to get this full benefit. And it's really great to have this extra cash. Because like for me, it's like doubled for my salary. So I'm really grateful that my agency is not getting any part of it. And the only thing we need to do is whenever the regular staff are getting these benefits, we just have to inform our liaison officer. Then our liaison officer will coordinate with the HR or with the nursing supervisor or the nursing manager about this. And we'll be able to come up with the incentive that's meant for us. So those are the pros for my agencies. So now let's go for the cons or the negative part. Like I told you earlier, there's a big difference when it comes to the pay. But like I said earlier also, it's hard to compare because it's like comparing apples to oranges. So it's not right to compare them. So other than that, I don't really have much negative about them. But like I said earlier, it's my fault for signing it. So I should not blame my agency for that. Because the rate that they're giving, entry level, is the same with the other staffing agencies that they're giving. So the rate is actually like competitive within their range. Then another negative thing is they took a photo from our Facebook page and they use it for their website. For me, that's like a big blow for me because like I said before, I was trying to conceal my my identity or my agency. Then suddenly few nurses messaged me that they knew that which agency or which staffing agency I am working from because of that picture. So they spoiled it for me. So I was shocked for it. So I really wish that they asked permission from me or from my colleague before posting those pictures for their website. But actually now they're doing that now. So I'm thankful for that. The next is, most of the time, if you reflect on your agency, most likely you will have a good experience if you have a good liaison officer or like an agent who's managing you. So that's like a main basis. If you have a bad one, then definitely you are going to have a bad review with your staffing agency. So for me, during this 2 years and 2 months period, I have a total of 3 agencies. And thank God, initially when I came here, I had a really one of the best liaison officer or manager, which is Laurel. She really took care of us, like really took care of us, and we were really happy then. The only thing I wasn't happy then was when I found out the money difference. But other than that, everything was perfect. Unfortunately, she was too good to be true for us. She was only handling small group in our areas, so she was placed on a different location wherein I think she's handling more people there, or maybe closer to her home. So unfortunately, she has to be switched by someone else. And unfortunately, that someone else, the second manager that we had, was not good. Was not really good. I think some of the videos that we are in, I have a really negative feelings about my agency was coming from that manager's era. So during that time, so I, or rather we were really not happy when it comes to her management style. Even my colleagues who were really sweet, nice, and really gentle, and really patient, she was able to trigger them. She was able to trigger them to the point that we were really bad and we're really frustrated on how she was taking care of us. For me, for one point, I almost tried to buy my contract out because of her. Really. I really tried. I was like, I don't want to be under this person anymore. I don't want to be under this agency anymore. So for all the staffing agencies out there, you really have to screen and put the right person on this position, because this will make or break your agency. And if she was our initially and like forever license officer from the start to now, then definitely I'm going to have a bad review on your staffing agency, because that person reflects the entire agency, mostly how they deliver. And whatever we receive treatment from her, we feel like that's what we're receiving from you guys. The third liaison officer that we had was good enough. He was just new, but he was really responsive. He was really helpful. So he was great. Unfortunately, I only have like few months with him, so was not even able to meet him personally. Even the second one, I wasn't even able to meet her personally as well. So that's it for the cons. Not much issues about them, except for few major things. But overall, compared to the positive ones, the pros really outweighs the cons. The reason why I'm doing this review is for you guys to have a better option and better understanding of what your contract has versus other staffing agencies there, so other contracts out there. I know some of you are not able to go to the direct agencies for some financial reasons and other reasons. So I know a lot of you will proceed still with staffing agency, but I suggest going or opting for those with the better conditions. So for those nurses out there who really have like financial constraint, or not, for those who are not able to file or pay for their examinations and tests coming to the US, some staffing agencies do sponsor those tests for you. So yeah, I suggest if you really don't have any option, go with those agencies. Just make sure the contract that's written there has a better conditions. And I think some of them, I relayed you some of the conditions that I think is better. It's better than the other ones that I mentioned earlier as well. I know there's a big difference between staffing agencies versus those direct hire agencies. But if you really don't have the cash, or you're not qualified for going through the direct hire, then just go with the staffing agency. Just sign it. Do it as soon as you can, so you can start your processing and everything. Just sacrifice for the number of years you need to serve for that contract, and I'm sure it will be worth it after those period ends. Your main goal is to put your foot forward as soon as possible. You might not get what you want initially, but at least you're on your way towards that destination. One step forward is better than not stepping at all. So go ahead and ask these questions, inquire, ask for the referrals for the staffing agencies, for direct hires, and just get those valuable informations from them directly. Okay? So it's best to get those informations and start a communication with them in order for you to have a good timeline or a goal in mind while doing your job in the Philippines or wherever you are right now. So hopefully you learned something from this video. I'm just giving you this information in order for you to have more options for you to choose from. It's really up to you to make those decisions and to make the first move. If ever you're interested for getting some referrals for either the direct hire agencies or for the staffing agencies, just give me a DM or PM me. Send me your full name, your email address, and indicate which one you want me to send to. Is either direct or for the staffing agency or both. So just give me those details and I'll be the one to put in your names, and just wait for the emails coming from those referrals that you've been asking for. So if you like this video and find it helpful, please help me back by clicking the like button, subscribe button, and please share to your friends. Again, I'm Nurse Juan de la Cruz, your OFW nurse. Thank you for watching. God bless. Bye-bye. Stay safe.